There's a place in the sun that belongs to everyone. You can feel you're alive. Now you made it through to the other side. And if you want it, you got it.
Checkered flag for Mark Martin.
Second call right now, boys. I'm having a problem.
Ryan Vickers slides through the grass. Jimmy Johnson looking like a three-time champion should.
Let's go, guys. Hell yeah.
Hamlin spins to the infield.
Mark Martin upside down. Jeff Gordon may have gotten a piece of that.
Jimmy Johnson pounds the inside wall.
And the one thing that Jimmy Johnson did not want to happen, happened.
Welcome, race fans, to the Valley of the Sun and the sun-drenched Phoenix International Raceway. It's the site of race number 9 in the chase, and with 2 to go, the chase has taken a huge right turn. Jimmy Johnson's point lead was cut by some bad luck in Texas, and the entire Hendrick team rallied to get him the most points possible. But now, any one of the top 3 drivers can leave Phoenix with the points lead. Strap in and hold on, it's race day in Arizona. With 2 races to go, Jimmy Johnson's lead is now 73. If you think it can't be done, it's happened before. Alan Kowicki made up an 85-point deficit with 1 race to go, and Jeff Gordon knows how to win championships, lurking at just 112 back. Now let's take a look at 4th through 12th in the standings. A couple of guys still mathematically eligible. Well, but not realistically eligible for what's going to happen on these last 2 races of the season. But those are your chasers with 2 races to go. We have sunshine, competition, and it's race day in Phoenix, Arizona.
You know it, baby.
Where are all the people, though? I don't see the people. Woo! This is awesome. What a great crowd. Woo!
John Roberts, he's Jimmy Spencer. He is Kenna Wallace, race car driver number 28, and we're ready to have some fun in the sun.
And you know what? I got to tell you, as my friend would remind me, Ken Squire. Ken Squire always used to say at the end of the Daytona 500, as the sun sets in the west. Well, race fans, let me tell you something. 2 to go to decide our champion. We are in the west. The sun is setting. Can Jimmy Johnson rebound from that horrible luck last week? Spence, this is going to be a barn burner.
Well, there's no question the 5 and the 24 after what happened to 48 last week, they've got a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel now. They're saying, we have a shot at this. Don't count your chickens yet, boys. Let me tell you something. 3 of the last 4 races here were won by the 48. 5.42 finishing averages. Not looking too good, guys.
Especially with the way the weekend has gone so far for the number 48 team. Let's now bring in Wendy Venturini. And Wendy, this race started on Friday afternoon for the 48.
Yeah, it sure did, and they have a long week ahead of them going into Homestead next week, but it goes back to Texas in a split second. The whole entire chase changed the dynamics of the points. Only 73 points separate Mark Martin and Jimmy Johnson. This was lap 3. You saw this wreck again and again. Early in the race, Jimmy Johnson out of the race, behind pit wall, ends up going 100 and some odd laps back, finishes 38th, his worst finish of the 2009 season. Now, they had started 12th that day. They had qualified 12th, which in their mind was a bad qualifying effort. When you heard from Chad Knaus throughout this week, he said, listen, we put ourselves in that situation. They had run around with their qualifying race, their qualifying lineup, and they didn't feel like their qualifying effort was what they wanted. They chased their tail, started what they thought was far back in the pack, put Jimmy in a bad situation. Now we come here to Phoenix, 73 points. This week, he qualifies 3rd, a great qualifying effort for Jimmy Johnson. He's not going to be put in that situation where puts him in any harm's way. Has won 3 of the last 4 races at Phoenix. What does that mean for Jimmy Johnson? Well, the competition better watch out, because now he's really going to be on the move with only those 73 points. As Hermie will tell you from pit road, a good qualifying effort means a good pit selection, and that can make all the difference today during the race at Phoenix. Isn't that right, Hermie?
Well, you're exactly right, Wendy. And track position is very important, but pit style selection here very much more important here than it was in Texas last week. Let me tell you why. As we look at Jimmy Johnson's pit stall number 21, not a lot of room for him to land this 48 car. Look at the opening right here. They want his right rear tire parked inside of this mark on his pit box. The left front tire will go right here. Not a lot of room. Jimmy cannot make a mistake when he parks his car. He's got to be far enough out for the guys to get around the left side to do the work on the left side. Very tight quarters here on pit road. That qualifying effort, qualifying third and getting this pit box will pay off for Jimmy Johnson today. Let's talk about Mark Martin. Also in chase contention, great run last week. He closed right in on Mark Martin. He picked pit stall number 43 all the way at the end of pit road. I like that pit selection as well. He gets right off the racetrack, nobody behind him. He can stop short, get his work done, and get back on pit road. Now the guys that are concern me a little bit, you look down this pit road as you go from Jimmy Johnson's pit around as it starts making a curve down towards Jeff Gordon and our pole sitter, Martin Truex Jr., a curve around pit road. It makes it even more difficult for these guys to get their cars inside this pit box, get their work done, and get back on the racetrack. So a little bit concerned about Jeff Gordon's pit stall because he's got a car in front of him and a car behind him, and he's got that curved pit road. So look out for Jeff Gordon getting on and off pit road. But I like Jimmy Johnson's pit stall, JR, and later today here on race day, we'll actually talk to the three-time champ about Texas and what he looks to do today here at Phoenix.
Hermie, thanks a lot. Now, there's two different ways you can look at the numbers going into these last two races of the chase. A, Jimmy Johnson has a pretty substantial lead with 73 points. That's not too shabby. But B, if you want to look at it from the other side, he lost 111 points off his lead leaving Texas.
Well, first thing I've got to say about the whole situation is I'm not saying I disagree with Chad, but I have to question, you know, a man should be able to qualify 12th. And I've said with 10 to go in the championship chase, I've told all of you, I said this championship will be decided by part failure or a wreck. Now, Jimmy Johnson should be able to pass a man on the outside without him running into him. I mean, he gave him a full car length width. If you watch the replay, he's way out here. They wreck lap 3 and knock him out. So to me, it still stands the way I say. Part failure or a wreck, taking somebody out, Spence, that's where we stand today.
And I disagree with Hermie. I do not think the 5 car got the best pit selection there, and I don't think the 48 does either. I think Jeff Gordon does. All the times I've been here, I've watched Greg Biffle with a car could win this race, and that cluster going into that turn 1 on pit road really gets tight. The thing about Jeff Gordon, if you notice, fans, that is very wide opening. He can haul the mail and get right out there quick. I think Jeff Gordon took the best pit box available that was not, you know, where he could have gotten back to further. Way better, guys. I think he's got the best position in the race for next to the 1 car.
A lot of drama going on among the top 3 drivers. They are all Hendrick Motorsports drivers, and they have all won here recently, so we'll have to take a look at the upfront part of this chase. When we come back to NASCAR Race Day, built by the Home Depot, we have the current points leader and also the most recent winner on the Sprint Cup Series. Stay with us.
After last week's checkered, Kurt's still in Cup contention, and he's also a past winner here. Big Bro Busch grabs the mic and tells us if he's got a chance. Plus, Mad Matt kick-started the season quite right. Now, can he get back to victory lane in the desert later today? Heading your way, NASCAR Race Day, built by the Home Depot.
NASCAR Race Day is built by the Home Depot. Visit HomeDepot.com. More saving, more doing. That's the power of the Home Depot. And brought to you in part by Copart.com, an online auto auction where you control the price you want to pay. Go to Copart.com today.
It was under the lights at the Great American Speedway where Kurt Busch entered victory lane for the 2nd time this season. And although it did not put him right back up there with other championship contenders, it's one heck of a way to wind down this season as Kurt Busch was back in victory lane once again in the very famous Blue Deuce. And now let's go to Wendy Venturini, who's standing by with driver number 2.
Well, thank you. It was a great victory lane celebration that continues here into Phoenix. And I talked to Kurt earlier this week at the track. Kurt, you got to feel this euphoria from last week that goes into these final 2 races that just gives you a little boost of confidence for the end of the season.
Yeah, it does, and it's fun for all the crew guys and the sponsors, and just the year of hard work that we've put in. It feels good to get back to victory lane here towards the end and to have a legitimate shot still at the championship. We're only 171 points back.
Yeah, it's only 171. A lot can happen, as we saw Jimmy Johnson losing 111 points last week. What do you go into this race? Do you have to be on edge? Do you have to be extra cautious? What is the game plan when you get into that race car today?
Well, we want to get out there and try to lead laps early on and see if our Miller Lite Dodge is able to lead most laps and get the extra 5 for that. But if it isn't, we have to make the best out of the day, and we have a great pit box selection by qualifying second, and just settle in to see how the race goes. And you have to run good, and you have to have Jimmy have problems, and we don't want to wish that upon him or any of the guys in front of us. We just want to go out and run hard, and maybe we can get 2 in a row today.
These are going to be the last 2 races with you and Pat Tryson working together, and it's almost, we saw it with Greg Zipadelli breaking up with Tony Stewart. It is like a breakup almost, but you have to move forward. Is there any chance that we might see your new crew chief before the 7 days goes by and our season's up? It's hard to believe in only 7 days we're going to be done.
Yeah, it's amazing. The whole season, and then here we are with 2 to go, and Homestead's next week. We probably won't see a new crew chief. Winning last week with Tryson really just locked us in for the rest of the year. Let's just ride this wave and get the best results that we can. And it is tough. I mean, a relationship with a driver and a crew chief is like a high school dating relationship. You know, it goes for so long, but it's going to end eventually because people part ways and go their different directions. And we wish Pat nothing but the best from Penske Racing.
All right, Kurt, what do we expect out of this racetrack today? Because we know there's a lot of options if this bee doesn't sting us during this interview. A lot of options on that racetrack, wide racing around here. What is your favorite line on this racetrack? What are you going for?
I'm going for the bottom groove and roll in the center of the corners. That's where I think cars can make good lap times. Then you have to be careful on corner exit when the car wants to slide out loose by trying to put all that power down. So those are the 2 areas of concern, and then you always have a little bit of pitch strategy sprinkled in, whether you do 2 tires at certain segments, primarily 4 most of the day, but who knows? A lot of guys put in different strategies at the end. We hope we're ahead of the curve.
All right, good luck to Kurt Busch starting on the outside front row. Of course, Martin Truex in the 1 car starting on the pole, Kurt Busch on the outside front row in the 2 car. I think that's pretty cool. And Johnny, I hope we never break up on air marriage.
No way, never. I'm not too sure where to go with that one, so let's just go to a commercial break after that. We'll be back with NASCAR Race Day, built by the Home Depot, in just a moment. But when we do come back, he is on the verge of making history. 2 races and 7 days away. We'll talk to Jimmy Johnson when we come back.
While Mark took checkered here in the spring, Jimmy won the previous 3 in the desert. We'll take a spin with the 48 and see why Johnson's been so good at Phoenix. Coming at you, NASCAR Race Day, built by the Home Depot.
There has been a long history of Hendrick Motorsports' domination at the Phoenix International Raceway, and it goes back 5 races in their most recent streak. During that stretch, Jimmy Johnson brought home 3 checkered flags.
He is championship material. Jimmy Johnson will win the Checker Auto Parts 500 at Phoenix.
Jimmy Johnson cruised to victory on the return trip to the desert in 2007. It was his 10th of the season and 4th chase race in a row.
Waving the white flag. Waving the white flag. I'm not worthy. I'm not worthy.
Phoenix quickly turned into Johnson's personal playground. And in 2008, he bookended his 3rd consecutive championship season with a sweep.
Jimmy Johnson works his way off turn number 2. Maybe slowing. Let's see if he does. Approaching pit lane. No, he'll stay on the racetrack.
A little white lie by crew chief Chad Knaus kept the 48 out of the pits and in the lead.
Jimmy Johnson opts to stay out and apparently is going to go for it.
Back up your pace. We'll go for it. Back up your pace.
Jimmy Johnson, he can almost get out and walk faster than he's driving right now.
Slow it down. Kick it to neutral. Put it in neutral.
Jimmy Johnson rolls it down the victory lane.
Woo! Great job, boy. You guys rock.
And the 2nd time around, Jimmy flat out dominated.
Got a great pit box. Great racetrack for us. Got a great race car. Really excited about it. We're going to have some fun today.
Jimmy won the pole, led 217 laps, and emerged 141 points ahead of chase runner-up Carl Edwards.
On a very windy day in Phoenix, mostly Jimmy Johnson just had to contend with the dust and the debris.
Coming to the checkered.
Dominating fashion, the championship chase continues for Jimmy Johnson.
Awesome job. Awesome job.
However, JJ's hopes of 4 in a row were dashed as Mark Martin snapped a 97-race winless streak in a convincing victory in April.
Mark Martin has waited for 4 years to go back to victory lane and claim his 36th career win, and he has done it, winning here in Phoenix.
Mark Martin is now only 73 points out of first. And today, this year's Phoenix winner battles last year's Phoenix dominator for all the marbles in the penultimate race of the 2009 NASCAR Sprint Cup season.
Well, there you have it, spending some time with the champ, Jimmy Johnson. You guys have had some great success here at Phoenix, as we just saw in that feature. What is it about this racetrack that suits you guys?
I think the track is really good for us because it's such a tough track to hook the car up to, and you have 2 different ends of the racetrack, and you've got to be up on the wheel and make stuff happen. Car's never perfect. A lot of sliding the car around, and I think that works good with my background. So I'm glad that it works well. It's an important time for us. Obviously, it's a good track for my teammates that I'm racing with for the championship, but the way practice went and qualifying, I feel really good about the Lowe's car today.
Well, I know you want to talk about Phoenix because on to the next race. We got to go back and visit Texas just for a second. Of course, you can blame that on Wendy because she picked you last week. But that being said, you guys did a great job, in my opinion, of soon as it happened, putting it behind you, getting the car fixed, coming back out. As a driver, it's kind of a helpless feeling sitting in that car. How long did it take you to put that frustration behind you, get back on the racetrack, and make the most of a bad situation?
Really, until after qualifying on Friday. It finally kind of left my system at that point, and it was tough because the team as well, we didn't have a lot to look back on and say, well, the car didn't perform right, and that put us in harm's way, or something, that we did led to that. We were just in the wrong place at the wrong time. So in a lot of ways, it made it easier to get over it, but in other ways, felt kind of helpless, and I couldn't shake it out of my system until I got in the race car and finished my qualifying lap on Friday. But yesterday went great. The guys, this race team is so strong, and I'm so proud of them. Obviously, we came back and got some very important points last week. At one point, Chad told me the car was so banged up that we weren't going to get back on track, and they were able to do it. And also, we had teammates, that we're racing with in the championship here, or for the championship, that jumped in and helped on our cars. So great team effort. Just can't thank those guys enough, and we'll see what happens today.
What do you think about the guys you are racing, the 5 and the 24? Obviously, right there, been right there with you all season long. You opened the door for them a little bit. I mean, what's the goal today? Is to try to close that door back? I mean, what have you thought about what your teammates, how they've reacted to last week, and how that may affect how they race this week?
Yeah, I mean, we're all feeling the pressure. There's no doubt about that. So with the door being, more open now, everybody's feeling it. Everybody has that pressure on them, and I've got to expect that the 5's going to be out there racing for the win in the 24 today, and I've got to bring my best effort today, and the team does as well, and try to get maximum points, because I know that the 5 and the 24 are going to be right there in the thick of things.
Well, Jimmy Johnson trying to get back on track after last week. You don't see that happen very often, but if he's got to come to a place to get back on track, I'd say Phoenix is a place to do just that. JR?
Hermie, thanks a lot. Now, you saw all those other Hendrick Motorsports teammates going to work on that race car, even though the other 2 guys in this championship chase are out on the racetrack at the same time. So it's got to give them a little bit more confidence at the same time, but they also have said they don't want to win it by having somebody wreck out. They want to beat Jimmy on the racetrack.
No, and I think the thing is that when you look at this 48 team, I think they excel better than most under these conditions. So when they have this big point lead, I think that they didn't do their job last week, got off track, didn't qualify well, and ended up to see what happened. Opposite this week, worked on the qualifying deal, got the car in the top 5, actually 3rd. All in all, Kenny, I think that the 48's the best performing team under pressure. They like this pressure. They'll be tough today.
There are a handful of drivers that I have followed in my career, and I tell some of my friends, I'm like, hey, don't put that driver's back against the wall. Don't tell him he can or he can't. And right now, listening to Jimmy Johnson's interview, he sounds like he's ready to go, and he knows what has to be done. But I agree with Jimmy Spencer. This is when the 48 team is going to perform. I always used to tell people about my brother, Rusty. Spence, I shouldn't say my brother, Rusty, should I?
Because he is your brother.
Okay.
Even though he's a lot older than you.
Yeah, Rusty Wallace. never doubt Rusty's ability. I always used to tell people that don't ever tell Rusty he couldn't do something. And I think that's where Jimmy Johnson's at right now. 180-point lead a week ago. Now he's coming out swinging. I think he's probably gonna dominate today.
No matter what happens here at Phoenix, there is a chance that one of the top 3 drivers could be the points leader as we head down to Homestead, so you better get your tickets now to go down to championship weekend. Tickets are still on sale for the top 3 series to see them crown their champion at Homestead Miami Speedway. There's still a lot of beating and banging to do, and it's one of the best parties of the year. Come on down to Homestead and join us. Welcome back, race fans, to the Phoenix International Raceway, where we've got a lot of sun, a lot of great fans, and a lot of great racing coming your way. Now, this number 17 car, piloted by Matt Kenseth, has visited Victory Lane at this track before. But one other thing about Matt Kenseth, when it comes to racing in this chase, he has 2 third-place finishes and 1 second-place finishes. He's been one of the best non-chasers so far in the chase, and he's standing by with Hermie Sadler.
Yeah, spending some time with Matt Kenseth here on race day. Thanks for joining us. And another good run for you guys at Texas last week. That mile-and-a-half program really seems like you've made some progress since the beginning of the chase.
Yeah, it seems like we've been gaining out here the last couple months at the bigger tracks. I'm not so sure about these places, but it seems like the mile-and-a-half, 2-mile stuff, we've been gaining on them a little bit.
We talked to Drew Blickensderfer on some of our other shows this weekend. He said the same thing. We've made some progress on the mile-and-a-half. Not so sure about the flat short tracks. What are you missing in the feel of the car at a place like Phoenix that you had on the mile-and-a-half?
Well, really, I think most of it at these short tracks is about front grip. You know, if you can get the front of the car to turn, it's kind of easy to tighten up the back, but it seems like we're always loosening up the back because the front won't turn and just can't keep up with other guys. So we've been working on that, trying to get our short track stuff to turn better. At times it seems like we're making a little bit of progress, at other times it doesn't. So we'll continue to work on that, and I'm encouraged that our big track stuff is getting better. Now if we can get this stuff a little bit better, hopefully we can roll into next year more competitive.
I know you wanted to be in the chase, not had the overall season you wanted to have, but started off the year with a Daytona 500 victory. Got to be the highlight of the season and a big win for you in your career.
It was. I mean, that was huge for us. I mean, every stock car racer's dream is to win the Daytona 500, so that was awesome, and it was really special for us to back it up at California the next week. Certainly, it's been very up and down since then. It's probably been one of the most inconsistent seasons that I've ever been part of, but there's been a lot of high points with it. There's been a lot of low points. I think we've learned a lot as a team, and hopefully as an organization that'll make us stronger next year.
Well, Matt Kenseth, JR, he missed the chase this year, first time in his career. Don't look for that to happen 2 years in a row. Look for Matt Kenseth to rebound in 2010.
Yes, and he does have that Daytona 500 champions ring. And you know what? It is 2,272 hours, 2 minutes and 35 seconds until the Daytona 500. So get your tickets, come on down there and join us. And that also calculates out to 91 days. There are so many fun things to do at Daytona. You can come by the Trackside Tavern, meet speed personalities, enjoy free hamburgers and hot dogs.
I'm coming.
Jimmy, limit your number of hamburgers, please. To purchase tickets, visit Daytona500.com or call 1-800-PIT-SHOP. And Kenna Wallace, I got to admit, one of the funnest things about, can I say funnest, most fun?
Funnest.
Whatever.
Funnest
Don't worry about
That's
don't worry
my
about
word.
Don't worry about grammar here. Anyway, but one of the most fun things about that is, first of all, the 1,000 hours of coverage we do on speed. Is it 1,000 or a million?
A gazillion.
A gazillion hours, 1,008 hours. And also, Kenny, the Daytona 500 starting at 1 o'clock straight up this year.
You fans have asked for it. You got it. A 1 o'clock starting time. We're going to be consistent on the East Coast next year, but the Daytona 500 is 1 o'clock starting time. And one thing I like, Spence, is when we go to Daytona, everybody's rested up. And every time I see you at Daytona, you're like this.
Even Spencer's happy.
Kenny, it's my birthday weekend. I've celebrated Daytona for 21 years. That's all I'm going to be 22 years old this year at Daytona. So, you know, I'll have, hey, a birthday cake. Daytona to me, fans, you get out of that cold winter weather, you come to Daytona, you get to the beaches, and there's a lot of girls walking in. For you girls, there's a lot of good-looking guys, too. But you know what? Hamburgers and hot dogs on the house at the speed place. Daytona, it's the biggest race of the year. It's the best race of the year. You never know who's going to win this thing. It's awesome, baby. Daytona 500.
I got in trouble a year ago on speed. I said, how dare you people working at your work? So I said, quit your jobs and come to Daytona. How can you not be there? You know how many people called me up and says, Herman, I got fired. I didn't mean that, but you need to come to Daytona. My God, I've been going there since I was a kid.
Take your vacation. Don't forget, we got the Twins on Thursday, man. We got the trucks. We got the Nationwide. Oh, baby, it's Daytona, man.
And burgers and bikinis, too.
Darn right.
Listen to
Oh, I like that one. Burgers and bikinis.
We're going to take a quick break here from the Phoenix International Raceway. Still so much more to come on this edition of NASCAR Race Day, built by the Home Depot. There you see four-time champion Jeff Gordon going into the drivers' meeting. We'll have the latest from inside the garage when we come back. Welcome back to Phoenix, everyone. Certainly one of the most scenic racetracks we come to throughout the course of the year. We have the Australia Mountains on one side, the Gila River on the other side, and plenty of cacti, plural, for cactuses. Let's go back to Friday night on this triple-header weekend. Under the lights on the Camping World Truck Series, Kevin Harvick goes for a spin, and keep an eye on this truck because it will come back to make a big deal a little bit later on, Jimmy.
Yeah, it really does. You would think at this point in the race, my gosh, what happened to Harvick? Because they were all talking about how strong his truck was, Kenny. But you know what? I mean, Johnny, look at who wins that race.
Well, you got two trucks out there celebrating. One is Kevin Harvick. He won the race. And then his driver, Ron Hornaday, won the championship. His fourth championship for Ron Hornaday. So a tremendous evening for Kevin Harvick Incorporated. There's the champion himself. So he gets to go down now to Homestead and have a great time beating and banging on the racetrack out there in the Camping World Truck Series. There is the final numbers with one race to go. Nothing Matt Crafty could do about it, but nonetheless, he had a fantastic year.
Kevin Harvick had new trucks. They built brand new trucks for 2010. Those are the trucks they ran, and also the new R7 engine.
Friday on Speed, the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series wraps up its season under the lights in South Florida. The champion may be crowned, but Jimmy Spencer wants to see some payback on the racetrack.
Well, there's no question at Homestead. If you watch that truck race, baby, it's as exciting as it gets. Doesn't matter the champion's crown. You will see a great race. You tune in to Speed on Friday.
NASCAR on Speed, be there. And we were here for the Nationwide Series. Another title contender, the number 18 of Kyle Busch, goes for the kind of spin you just don't want to go for on this racetrack.
And you heard Kurt Busch say that, you have a problem with tire spin coming off the corner. This is what I want to talk about. Now, there we see the 20 car bump the 88, Keselowski. That's Denny Hamlin. Well, you know what? I didn't like that. So Keselowski says, okay, you know what? I'm going to return the favor here. So as he rolls out what he was supposed to, bam! Now, there you go. It's over. No, wait a minute. It's not over. Watch what this guy does. He doesn't know what it is. He spins Denny Hamlin out again. This guy needs to be addressed. This just isn't right. But, at the end of the day, the guy that won this race dominated this sucker, Kenny. That 60 car was strong all day.
Carl Edwards is always faster. Now, I got to tell you something. Carl Edwards, he did a roll because his ankle
still hurt.
So he could not do a split. He got out and he did a roll, so congratulations.
Here are your standings. Kyle only has to start the Nationwide Series race in Homestead, but it's going to be a wild one after they started.
What I'm watching there, fans, is that 5th and 6th place, Mike Bliss and Justin Allgaier. Those are the only two positions left, really, to get on the stage. It's a pretty big story.
So you don't like what the number 88 car did?
No. Think
and there's
back.
history between these two.
Well, yes, and the 88 car, this stuff starts here. Look at what the 20 right there says, hey, I don't like what you're doing, 88. And then this here started this whole thing. This was last year at Charlotte, fans. Now we cut. Oh, this is pretty good. No fist thrown. Now this is Dover this spring. Bam. Look at that. I mean, this is this fall. The 88 just spins Denny Hamlin out, and it ruins his day. End of story.
Well,
now, go ahead, Kenny.
And then here we go again. Okay, the 20, he gets on the gas. Okay, the 88 maybe is a little bit loose. No harm, no foul. The 88 should pop him in the rear and let him know he didn't like it.
But look what he does, Kenny.
This is a little out of hand here.
And that's my point, fans. I think that we can understand when he did bump the 20, bumped the 88 bumped them back. But I think that Keselowski carries it too far. My problem with Keselowski, he's got a chip on his shoulder. He thinks he can't get his ass kicked. And on top of everything else, he doesn't think he does anything wrong. The problem with that is he does do stuff wrong. You do not spin competitors out, and he spins people out.
But, Jimmy, this is not the witness protection program. You're out here to get noticed. He's obviously doing something right because he's driving the 12 for Roger Penske next year.
Yeah, but here's what should really happen. Hermie Sadler's got a wrestling company called TNA. I think we should take these two drivers, put them in the ring.
Steel cage match?
And let them go at it. This is a show, race fans. This is what you all have been wanting.
Good idea, Kenny.
We present you the show. It's Brad Keselowski versus Denny Hamlin. There's your rival you've all been asking for. Come on, let him
Hey,
get out.
Jeff Hammond could be the guy that counts him out. You know?
Jeff Hammond is your referee. Are you sure?
Yeah, Jeff Hammond. He'd be a good referee.
He's all tanned and
Let's
ready
go
to go.
inside. Let's go inside for more from Wendy Venturini.
Well, thank you, Johnny. I love you guys. You're so opinionated. Now, here's the latest. We do know yesterday Brad Keselowski, after the nationwide race, on the radio interview said it's one of them racing deals. You see his Cup car going through tech inspection line. Well, Denny Hamlin on the other said, you know what? Well, this driver, Brad Keselowski, has no respect from any of the drivers inside the garage area. The battling goes back and forth. Who did what first? It doesn't matter. It's a continuing process that we're seeing happen again and again on the racetrack. What has happened this morning? Well, NASCAR has brought Brad Keselowski into the NASCAR hauler. I just spoke with John Darby, and he said it was one of those meetings where we call a driver into the NASCAR hauler, we close the door, and that's where it ends. It's a closed-door meeting with that driver. So Brad Keselowski has had a conversation with NASCAR this morning. Who knows what was said behind those closed doors, but we do know he was in that hauler this morning, and as the drivers' meeting is getting ready to start and get underway, Brad Keselowski has been through the garage area. But nonetheless, fans take different sides for each of these drivers for their own reason. The bottom line is NASCAR is trying to meet with each of these drivers and just kind of calm things down, because we know sooner or later it is going to escalate on that racetrack. Johnny?
Wendy, I bet Spencer knows what they might have been said.
Yeah, but you know what? Let's give NASCAR credit here. NASCAR, good job. I think you've done the right thing to get him in and teach these kids how this sport's supposed to be done. He carried it too far once again. That's all my point is.
Well, there are a couple of drivers that won last season that haven't won yet this year, and they have 2 more chances to do so. It's the perfect way to end a season, whether you're a championship contender or not. And now with 2 to go, they want to go out there and get 1 win.
It'll be big to get that first win because of this season. But I think more importantly now, because of the time frame that we're in, it'd be really big for starting 2010, and that would mean a ton. So we got 2 chances left, and you know, we're trying trying really hard, just like we did every other race. But you know, it's not for a lack of effort. We haven't been as fortunate, and we you know, put ourselves in position, and it just hasn't happened yet.
It's been a tough season for us as a team, and you know, I really enjoy working with these guys, and they've worked really hard. And you know, this year hasn't been from a lack of effort. You know, the guys have been working hard. It just seems like it hasn't been meant to be. And you know, I'd be real excited to win for those guys. And we've been trying really, really hard. I think sometimes too hard, and that's part of the problem. But I sure would be proud to be able to do that for them and go out with a win.
Not over yet. And won 3 in a row at Homestead, and I've been really close here in Phoenix. So I feel like we're capable of winning still this season. But you know, getting down to the wire. I mean, it's only a few left, and we're trying like heck.
I did not in any way think we finished this year with no wins. So you know, I'd like to get a win before 2009's out. That's pretty frustrating. But that's the way racing goes. You know, it happened in 05 and 06, and you know, we'll always come back. But I'd like to win.
I mean, are you kidding me? Carl Edwards and the Biff, Greg Biffle, have not won a race this year. These are great race car drivers. I mean, they're champion drivers in any other division, the Truck Series, the Nationwide Series. They're coming down here and they're running out of time. They got big egos. They're good. They're used to being up there in victory lane. They have not won this year. That is the biggest surprise, the Biff and Carl Edwards.
And it ain't over yet. Doesn't matter what the championship picture looks like. There's still 43 race cars on the track, and each individual one has a story. Could 3 races set the sight for a title run for the number 18 next year? We'll hear the behind-the-scenes story and the real deal coming up.
From the background to the spotlight, and this guy's now calling the shots for one of NASCAR's biggest names. Wendy visits Mr. Rogers' neighborhood to see if he likes being top dog.
But this is just such an amazing opportunity to work with Kyle Busch, someone who you really respect. You already know the relationships in place. A lot of emotion.
Straight ahead, NASCAR Race Day, built by the Home Depot.
Welcome back to NASCAR Race Day, built by the Home Depot here at Phoenix International Raceway. We're getting closer and closer to the final 2 races of the season finale. Kyle Busch outside the chase, but wants to end the season on a good note. Of course, he has the new crew chief here at the 18 car on that pit box. Dave Rogers has stepped into the role. Steve Addington leaving that role as crew chief. Dave Rogers has been with Joe Gibbs Racing for 11 years now, so he's no stranger to this organization. You're probably familiar with him on the nationwide side, but not crew chiefing Kyle Busch. He's he's been crew chiefing the other team in the Nationwide Series for Joe Gibbs Racing, has 20 wins on the Nationwide side as crew chief, now taking over for Kyle Busch full-time in the Sprint Cup Series. Here's a look at Dave Rogers and his personality as he's taken over for one of the most high-profile drivers in NASCAR.
Remember these pit boxes, half asphalt, half concrete. Can I change? Because I'd like to do more of it. I'm going to sneak that track bar down. I'll tell you, I'm going to go a half round. Is that enough?
What was going through your head when you found out you were going to be coming over here to the Cup side before the season was even over?
Just a lot of emotions. You know, that Nationwide program is my extended family. I think the world of those guys. We had a lot of success over there. But this was just such an amazing opportunity to work with Kyle Busch, someone who you really respect. A lot of emotion. You know, it was a tough decision.
Now, you have 20 Nationwide wins with Joe Gibbs Racing. Everyone's thinking, oh, well, you and Kyle have worked together. But honestly, it's only been 3 races that you've crew chiefed for Kyle. Really, you truly are working with a new driver.
Yeah, for sure. You know, we have 3 runs, 1 win, but they were early last season. Everyone was just getting their feet wet with the new Toyotas, and Kyle was still new to us. So yes, this is definitely a new program. There's a learning curve. The pressure is much higher over here than it is over there. So we're starting from square one, and I think we both have a realistic approach to what we're going to do here.
Let's put 4 on it, Kyle. Get that set off, okay? It might just be better to stay up front, keep the track position. Feel like we can hang out there. Let's just stay out.
Now, I want to talk about something. Steve Addington, perfectly capable crew chief. He has 12 wins in 2 years with Kyle Busch. What do you think is more important? Is it putting up the numbers? Because one doesn't necessarily equate to a good relationship.
Yeah, I think in this sport, you see trust and chemistry. You know, we use those words all the time. I don't think you can overuse those words. You know, you gotta be on the same page. You know, the questions are obvious. You know, the wins, the success, why is there change? Me worrying about that and me thinking about that was gonna be counterproductive towards our efforts at Texas. But I certainly know that Kyle and I have to develop a strong relationship to enjoy the good times together and to weather the storms together.
Do you feel that pressure starting to build up now, being in the position with him as the driver, being so passionate that he is?
I don't want to pat myself on the back, but I think I dislike losing every bit as much as Kyle. Kyle can't put pressure on me. I want to perform as bad as he does. I think if you watched my interview after the race, I was clearly disappointed.
This 18 M&M Toyota Camry deserves being victory lane. I thought we had one of the best cars throughout the entire race, but just didn't work out that way.
It wasn't because Kyle Busch put pressure on me. It wasn't because I thought I made the wrong call. It was simply I don't like to lose. That's just who I am.
And talk about Kyle's desire to run so well. How have you learned about that so far in just 1 weekend of racing?
You know, he made some very complimentary remarks during practice, and I smiled at him. I said, hey, we're on our honeymoon. and we both know it. We're on our honeymoon. Life is great right now. He hasn't really challenged anything I've asked or decided to change.
I'm going to ask you how much. I don't want you to tell me, but make sure it's the right amount. I'm all for it.
And he's been good with it. I mean, if every weekend goes like this weekend, look out.
Now, the honeymoon, do you think it will be over by Daytona 2010?
The goal is to make the honeymoon never get over.
That's true.
We'll see. I'm confident. I really like what we started with, so I'm very optimistic and confident we can make this last.
Has it sunken in yet? Your change in your career path is coming back into the Cup Series?
I don't know. I think it has, but probably not. I haven't sat down and pinched myself yet and said, wow, you're Kyle Busch's crew chief in the Cup side.
And I think the important thing is to point out that a crew chief really needs to be the ice to the fire of the driver. We've seen it with Tony Stewart and Greg Zipadelli when the marriage, quote unquote, ended. Now we see Pat Tryson and Kurt Busch setting ways. And now between Kyle Busch, Steve Addington, them parting ways. Dave Rogers coming in for the 18 as a full-time crew chief. I think it's a good balance. You got to get that relationship working. You got to be on the same page. And this happens time and time again in our sport, but we know one thing for sure. Kyle Busch is one tough dog to work with. If Dave Rogers can accomplish this and get to victory lane, Kyle Busch will be a happy man. Johnny?
All right, let's now check in with Hermie Sadler, who has the other side of that equation. Hermie?
Well, we just saw that real deal feature with your new crew chief, Dave Rogers, and it goes without saying that the finish last week was disappointing, but aside from that, the whole weekend working with Dave Rogers for the whole weekend, how would you assess it?
Oh, it went really well. You know, from the way we started out in practice, the way the car drove and everything, we worked on it, tried to make it better, and ultimately on Saturday we got it handling pretty well in practice, and from there, you know, into the race, it was shocking almost, you know, how good it was driving and how good it was racing. So real proud of Dave and all the guys, and trying to turn this deal around a little bit and work towards trying to get better. And obviously the first step was a good one last week.
How do you tell the fans at home? A lot of people from the outside looking in that don't know the sport would say, wow, these guys won 12 races the last couple of years, yet they make a change. But it's a very competitive sport. You're trying to stay on top of it. But coming from the team side, why do you think a change was necessary?
Well, it is a very competitive sport, and when you're not beating the guys that are out there beating everybody else every week, you know, somebody's got to make a change. And, you know, we felt it best, JD and Joe felt it best that we would make a change for the rest of this year to try to get ourselves started for next year, building a reputation with myself and Dave and a chemistry and all that stuff to get going. So then we don't come out of the box at the Daytona 500 trying to learn that. We've already got it established. And, you know, unfortunately, Steve, he was a great crew chief, a great leader. All these guys really looked up to him. I looked up to him a lot, and for the experience he's had around the garage area, you know, it wasn't clicking. It wasn't gelling the way it needed to be. It wasn't championship caliber to beat the 48 guys. So we're trying to get better, and ultimately those are the guys that are pushing the sport to what it is today and how competitive it is.
Before we let you go, switch gears for 1 second. Just about got the Nationwide Series Championship locked up just by showing up at Homestead last week. Got to be comforting for you guys. That's a strong program, run up front all the time.
It is, for sure, you know, and the guys this year have done a tremendous job, and unfortunately yesterday we didn't have the performance we were looking for. We struggled a bit, but you know, for what the year has been, you know, all the partners that we have with Toyota especially, and NOS and Z-Line and all the guys on the team, they've done a great job, and, you know, they deserve the championship. Unfortunately, we couldn't get it wrapped up yesterday, but, you know, we'll go to Homestead and start the race and be done with it, but it's not over till it's over. So barring I go skiing this week and break a leg or something like that, you know, which I'm not going skiing, so I should be safe with that aspect, you know, we'll be all right going to Homestead.
Well, JR, that's Kyle Busch. Let me tell you what he said interesting about making a crew chief change. He said, we're here to beat the 48. They set the bar. We need to get on their level week after week. They got off to a good start last week. We'll see if they can do it again today.
Hermie, thanks a lot. Congratulations to Kyle Busch on another incredible year as a driver, and I'm sure he hopes to continue that next year. Is this going to be the spark that Kyle needs and the 18 team needs to push them back into championship contention in the Sprint Cup Series?
Oh, yeah, without a question, Johnny, and I'm going to tell you why. Joe Gibbs has taught guys and won Super Bowls. He's not nobody's guy that can't figure out people. He knew that Kyle and Addington weren't up to the standard that M&M's and Joe Gibbs expects. They were winning some races, but they couldn't close the deal. Dave Rogers said it best. I love this guy. I don't like to lose. Well, Kyle Busch don't like to lose, Kenny. So to me, I think this is a great marriage. I think this is something, you see how well it already started. You see the difference attitude in Kyle already. I think that for the competition, look out next year, boys.
You know, when you're a crew chief, your biggest dream is to have the greatest driver and to have the greatest equipment. Dave Rogers has arguably the greatest driver and the best equipment. Just go do it.
Yeah, but now here's the good part and the bad part. The good part is he has a great driver and great equipment. The bad part is he's got a great driver and great equipment. Now he's got to perform. Great high expectations for him.
And the big thing, too, Johnny, is he said the 48 makes us do this. So the rest of these teams got to do the same thing the 18s do. They got to change. They got to keep up with the 48.
The whole field is chasing the 48, bottom line.
And we shall see what happens next year. Stay tuned. You know, Jimmy Spencer likes a nice soft headrest when he naps in the afternoon. But But for Jeff Burton, perhaps his headrest was a little too stiff. We'll talk about that. Welcome back, everyone, to the Phoenix International Raceway. The sun-drenched track in the desert is the home of Chase Race, number 9 in the 2009 season. When we came here, Jimmie Johnson had a 73-point lead. Will it be that way when we go away? Well, you'll have to stay tuned to figure out. Wendy Venturini is now standing by with another driver that would like to spoil that championship party this weekend.
Yeah, he sure would. Well, I'm with Jeff Burton, and Jeff Burton's had 2 top 10 finishes, back-to-back top 10s. A good run considering the way the 2009 season is. You got to feel good. When you get a top 10, Jeff Burton's going to be pretty happy right now.
Yeah, you know, it's been a hard year, and there's no question, but we're working really hard, and we've made a lot of changes, and you know, we're running well, and that's the key. Is we saw one team at our company start running well, and now you're starting to see all of us run well, and we're moving in the right direction. We're still catching up, but we're moving in the right direction.
Now, last week, the weekend didn't start off so well. In the Cup car, you had a pretty vicious wreck. It looked like it was a simple wreck, but in fact, we've talked about this. The headrest with the density of that foam almost causes you to get a little head jangle going on there. Explain what you guys could do about that foam and the seats that you guys have.
Well, I think just like we have to continue to work on it. Hendrick's done a great job, and all the companies that have been involved with the seat technology have done a really good job. But you know, when you build something to hit and be survivable for a 100G impact, that may not be exactly what you want for a 20G impact. So because everything's so rigid and you know, it's hard to do both. But we have to look at maybe some varying density foams to try to absorb some energy. But I mean, my car, they've got the data here. I hadn't had a chance to look at it. But it killed the car. It bent frame rails. I mean, it destroyed the car. So it was a big hit, and I think where it hit in the safer barrier was not a good thing either. But you know, without the safer barrier, there it would have been worse. So anyway, a lot of things piled up on us. But we're over that now and moving forward. Yeah, the good news is you walked away. You feel good. Hermie Sadler's going to talk to us more on race day about the foam and the headrest. But talk about today. What do you look for today? 2 wins at Phoenix. You usually do pretty good at this track. That's got to make you feel good going into today's race. I'm extremely optimistic about today. I did a horrible job qualifying. We were fast in practice. We were 4th fastest on the board. We made our first Q mock run and we were 2nd fastest. And then we on the second lap of our second run, I messed that lap up, and then in qualifying, I just drove bad. I just did a horrible job. So we're starting 36th with a car that's capable of winning the race. So we got a lot of work to do. We're fast. I love the way the car drives. We made some long runs yesterday. I was really happy with it. So, you know, I got to get us dug out of a hole, the hole I dug us in. And once we do that, I think we can be in good shape. All right, good luck to Jeff Burton. Starts 36, but nonetheless was 4th in happy hour. He's got a good car in race trim. Johnny?
Wendy, thanks a lot. Still to come on this edition of NASCAR Race Day, built by the Home Depot, the past, present, and future. We'll look back at Texas, take a look at today at Phoenix, and also look ahead to the final race of the season at Homestead Miami Speedway. We are in Phoenix for the second to the last race of the season for the Sprint Cup Series. Jimmie Johnson comes in with a 73-point lead, 112 back, sits 4-time champion Jeff Gordon. Let's take a look at the best of the rest who still have a lot to prove before this thing is all said and done.
You know, a lot on the line here, Johnny. Between 4th and 5th, only 7 points. How about 6th and 7th? Less than 15, well, what's that, about 11? Oh, my God. It's going to be close all the way to Miami. You can't miss us next week.
With just 2 races to go, we are here in Phoenix. It's a great track for Jimmie Johnson and company. Could that be a good omen lurking on the horizon? Because last week was not. A huge right turn for Jimmie Johnson's championship quest for 4 in a row. But they bounced back in a big way, coming here and qualifying 3rd on Friday afternoon. Crew Chief Chad Knaus reminds us all the time that the race starts on Friday. And Johnson has been dominant at this racetrack over the past couple of years. In fact, 3 of the last 4 races have gone to the number 48 team, and that includes 1 in a championship run just a couple of short years ago. Jeff Gordon runs well at this racetrack as well. He was one of the more recent winners at this track, and he finds himself still in championship contention, but it is Mark the Kid Martin who started his run at a championship chase this season with his win last time we raced here at Phoenix.
It's always good to come to Phoenix. The fans turn out. They expect a good race. You've got a number of drivers that are simply looking to get back to victory lane. Drivers like Tony Stewart, Dale Earnhardt Jr., and our pole sitter, Mark Martin.
Game time, game time. What time it is? Game time!
All right, Mark, nice job qualifying, nice work. Let's do what we do here all night long, guys.
The crowd stands as one, and the green flag goes up in the air. Great jump from Mark Martin.
A little tight in the center, but nothing to worry about. Seems to be pretty fast. Better than the leader there, buddy, about a half tenth. I believe you, but he sure looks like he's getting further away. Really loose. No power down or nothing. 10 forward, way too loose. This race is going to be over in a minute or two. We got to pull something out to get us to track position.
As the sun sets, the track begins to cool. The handling changes on these race cars. Some guys will hit it, some guys will miss it.
Still need grip up off us. What's it look like? Roll turn, then the mother loose. We can throw a little bit back in that left rear, Mark, if you want to be a little tighter. It's hard to say. Trying to win, you know, the car's about as good as it'll get. But it's forward, full tilt. All the way out, hard as you can go, hard as you can go.
Staying out for Dale Earnhardt Jr., who's now inherited the lead. Dale Earnhardt Jr. wiggles off the corner, and here comes Mark Martin.
Need a leader? Yes, sir, that's the leader. All right. Well, there he goes.
This has been a race that has belonged very simply to Mark Martin.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. simply lost the handle.
Wrecking over there, turn 4. Caution's out. 4 tires. The way they're track bar. It's nice and smooth. 4 tires. All right, am I coming? You're coming.
Mark Martin and most all the leaders are on the pit road.
Go, go, go.
4 fresh Goodyear Eagles down and away.
Oh, boy, oh, boy.
It was literally a race off of pit road, won by inches.
I think we beat the 5, and the 18 had to be speed. The 18's too fast, exiting. I'm looking at the line, we had him anyway.
But Mark is not in the lead. Ryan Newman stayed on the racetrack, and everybody in Phoenix on their feet. They know this is going to be a good one. Martin goes to the high side of the racetrack, and Martin to the lead on turn 2. They may call him the old man, but he hasn't forgotten how to win a race.
Well, Mark Martin has waited for 4 years to go back to victory lane, and he has done it.
Mark Martin, you are unbelievable, buddy. You are the man. I love driving y'all's car. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Love you, man. Thank you. That was
So Mark Martin ended a long winless streak by using a great performance here at the Phoenix International Raceway. Could that happen to Carl Edwards this afternoon? His winless streak is not as long, but nonetheless, he wants to end it here. Let's go to Hermie Sadler.
Thank you, JR. Let's get it out there, Carl. You have not won a Sprint Cup race this year, but I have seen marked improvement this year. You won 5 nationwide races, and you hadn't crashed anything in the coach lot this year. Congratulations.
Hey, thanks a lot. Yeah, I noticed when I pulled in here that I've got an extra lane on each side of my motorhome because I ran into Elliott's motorhome last year. So I know I'm doing a better job as a driver. I haven't wrecked into anything in the motorhome lot. But it's nice of you guys to point out that I haven't won a race. I hadn't noticed. It really has been frustrating. You know, we had such high hopes coming into the season. And we've still got 2 races left. We still feel like we can get out of here with a win. But the biggest thing right now is accepting the fact that we've got, you know, issues. We've got to be better. And everybody at the shop's been working hard. Our engines are as good as they've been. Our cars are getting better. And everybody's working towards next season right now.
The thing of it is, if you're not really following the races close, last week at Texas, you had a car that could have easily won the race, but you got to get to all 500 miles. I mean, but improvement on the mile and a half, how do you assess where you are for today's race on the flat track?
Well, we weren't that good in practice, so I'm a little nervous about it. But then I talked to some folks that seemed like everybody's having the same troubles. You know, the track's real slippery. And really, we got to look at that as an opportunity. You know, if everybody's having trouble, then that's an opportunity for us to tune our car and make this Half-Life Fusion, you know, better than theirs. So we start 25th. Bob feels pretty good about it. But I really am excited about going to Homestead. Our mile and a half program, you know, led by Matt Kenseth. Those guys have been real good. It's been improving. So we still got a shot at it. And like I said, I still haven't run into anything here in the motorhome lot. So we got things to look forward to.
Always looking at the positives. Go back to yesterday, win your 5th Nationwide Series race of the year. Now, you would think a guy like you just won lots of races and been in contention. You know, Saturday races wouldn't mean as much, but it's got to make you feel good to win some races. You know, when you're struggling on the Cup side, to get in victory lane's got to be good.
Right. I go for anything, you know, winning a, you know, the RC car or even a foot race or something, which I won't be doing that well in one of those for a while. But just wins are good. Every race car driver out there will tell you, that we're competitive, and if you can win at anything, it's great. So, that nationwide win yesterday in that O'Reilly's Valvoline Fusion was great. We've had 5 wins over there with Dan Stillman and with Mike Kelly as crew chiefs. I feel like that program's going forward. Guys been working on the engines really hard. I'm real excited for that championship effort next year too.
And he unveiled somewhat of a new victory lane celebration yesterday. So you got to do what you got to do. But we're being positive here this weekend. We hadn't tore up anything in the coach lot, and Carl has a chance to run good today and next week at Homestead. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
JR.
All right, thanks a lot, Hermie. Carl's always a good sport about it. Kenny Wallace has his own little version of That was real nice, Kenny Wallace.
If I did that, I'd fall off the stage.
Hey, Spence, can you do that?
I said I'd fall off the stage.
Well, maybe we shouldn't hand that cup over just yet. After last week's surprising twists and turns, we've got ourselves a chase. We'll head back to the Lone Star State to see how things became interesting. Around the Turn, NASCAR Race Day, built by the Home Depot.
If there is fun to be had at a racetrack, our good friend Rutledge Wood is going to find it. How about the King yesterday on his own raceway here at the Phoenix International Raceway? There's Rutledge getting into the go-kart, and he's going to get the flag stand was put in by the racetrack here. He gets the green from the King, but then later on, NASCAR had to black flag Rutledge because he was running into all kind of other drivers.
Look at that.
On the racetrack, and don't really want to mention who had the fastest lap yesterday. I won't say who had the fastest lap yesterday.
Is that Denny Hamlin or Brad Keselowski right there? Oh, he didn't say that,
Take a look
did he?
at Richard Petty Raceway, and guys, they're going to go around the country next year and do this at a couple other racetracks. You're going to have to tune in to find out where and when. And Spencer, by the way, you can't drive.
That looks like Daytona, baby. It ain't long for Daytona 500.
It's a little
Looks
bit
like
Pocono.
Macon Speedway.
Too, or Macon anyway. But it's the King. All right, the king of finding fun around the racetrack, of course, is Rutledge Wood, so we sent him out in search of the most colorful fan for M&M's.
We're wrapping up the M&M's Most Colorful Fan. We've seen some great fans this year, Lindsay, but you got some all new for us.
We have seen a lot of fantastic fans this year, but this time we have someone who's done a little bit of everything, participated in 2 of the oldest races in the country. So I want you to meet Motorsports Maniac Wally.
Wally, you've been part of the Indy 500. You've been in the Pikes Peak for ATVs. What's your favorite event you've ever done?
The Pikes Peak Hill Climb for sure, 12.5 miles, 156 turns of pure terror.
And this guy went off a 100-foot cliff, landed in the top of a pine tree. He's fine, but that's one of the reasons he's one of our most colorful fans.
Rutledge, thank you. Make sure to visit NASCAR.com/mostcolorfulfan to see the photo finalists and check out all the colorful fan photos submitted throughout this season. Now, the color of the sky today is blue and beautiful. It is not that hot. It's very cool out here at the raceway, so we got a lot of good news on the weather front. But for some more news, let's now go to Wendy Venturini.
Well, thank you, Johnny. And as the season comes to an end, our final 2 races, we start to hear all the good news of what's going to happen in 2010 and beyond. Let's start with Michael Waltrip Racing. Now, they made the announcement this weekend that they re-signed with Toyota through 2012. That's great news for Michael Waltrip Racing and his organization that he will be returning Toyota, and that partnership will continue. Now, some bad news on that front is from Robbie Gordon. He made the news this weekend that he is only going to be doing 8 races come 2010 for Robbie Gordon. So some sad news on that front. We'll keep you posted if they can add some races to that. Now, beyond that, let's talk about good news back on the front of the driver front of that, and that has to do with the 71 and Bobby Labonte. They announced that Bobby Labonte will be full-time in the 71 car with a Tax Slayer as the sponsor for 12 races, and they're still looking for more sponsorship. That's good news to have Bobby Labonte in a full-time ride for 2010. And for more on that, let's head to my dear friend Hermie Sadler.
Well, thank you, Wendy. Let's talk to Bobby Labonte. Big news for you guys this weekend in the 71 car for a full season. And since you guys have come together, things have just clicked. Good to see you guys pairing up to make this a go next year.
Well, yeah, thank you, Hermie. It really is. And, Kevin and Deborah Buckler, they've done a great job. And, they came in one step at a time, and they're probably ahead of schedule where they were planning on being at this point in time. But, things have fallen. Some doors closed and some doors open. So it's a good opportunity for me and for them both. And we can we announced Tax Slayer was on board for for next year for some races, and looking forward to gaining some more attention for these guys, and hopefully we can do it.
You've been a part of a lot of different kind of organizations, big organizations, small organizations. Where do you see this 71 team now, and where do you need to build this team to get it where it eventually can be a contender week after week?
Well, I mean, I said it yesterday in the press conference, and I've thought about it a lot, and every one of these teams that's in here right now at one point in time started somewhere. They all had to start somewhere, and there was a story of teams that, when they started, they weren't sure if they're going to make it to the next race, and obviously it's today, in today's economic society that we're in, it's tough, and it's tough to get everybody pulling together to do the right things. These guys have got a lot of ambition. Kevin has had a lot of success in different racing series, so he has seen the hard times, and he's been successful throughout. And so this is a whole different challenge for him too. But hopefully together collectively we can do that. I feel like there's some strengths, and there's some times that we're going to have to, everybody's going to have to learn some things over again, or do it from a smaller scale. So, but if we get the opportunity to come out here every weekend, then you can showcase your stuff. And with Slugger Labby, I mean, these guys, they do a great job. I mean, with the amount of people that we have and the resources that we have, I mean, it's amazing what what we can do. And what's great is that we can get better with it. So I'm looking forward to that, and hopefully I can be a good part of it.
And they got a top 10 at Talladega, a top 20 qualifying run today. And Bobby Blind and these guys are a good match. We'll see if they can make this team into a contender in the Sprint Cup Series, JR.
Hermie, thanks a lot, and that really is good news. Great to have a past champion like Bobby Labonte around for another year, and Slugger Labby as well. Those are two dudes we need around here all the time. Now, we want to remind you that there is still time to get your tickets and join us at Homestead. Next weekend on Speed, NASCAR on Speed storms into Homestead for the final weekend of the NASCAR season. Be there as 3 champions are crowned in South Florida. Live coverage in HD begins Thursday at 6:30 Eastern. Let's jump up in the race car, driver, to take a hot lap around the Phoenix International Raceway. Got 312 of these coming your way today.
I want you fans to look at this. This is coming from the splitter. This is absolutely awesome. You've never seen this before, but there's that yellow line. He's down on the apron trying to get grip. This is the tricky part of the racetrack. Coming up to you, you get very slick, very loose as you start to head to this dogleg. Get that thing to the left of this long turn 3, Kenny.
And turn 3 is long, wide, and flat. Look at this. On the yellow line, up a little bit, but it's real flat. And as you exit, look, trying to get down under the yellow line, the wall comes up really fast here. A lot of wrecks off of turn 4.
Unique racetrack. Here we are riding with Kyle, the M&M's car. And, as you look at this, fans, this track, you go into turn 1, real heavy braking right there. Get it to the bottom and get to the throttle as quick as you can.
I want to talk about the drivers going over that yellow line. It's incredible. Now, as we get into turn 3 here, it's a flat corner, but watch here. See how they go over the yellow line? Of course, I was in the race yesterday. The reason you do that is to get the left front to get grip. Here's another look. Let's watch as we go into 3 here. Harvick over the yellow line again.
Helps hold the car, Kenny.
Yeah, you're right, Spence. You were a great race car driver. Why don't you race still?
I'm too young.
And we want to say a special thanks to our friends at Broadcast Sports who mounted that camera on Ryan Newman's car. Those guys worked their butts off to give us great camera angles. But we got a lot going on this racetrack.
This racetrack, fans, believe it or not, this is one of the toughest racetracks. We saw yesterday Jason Leffler run out of brakes. And the reason why you're going so fast into turn 1, Kenny, just a tremendous amount of brake force to get the car slowed down to get to that yellow line.
I love this racetrack. I love the atmosphere out here, but Spence is so right. You go flying down that long straightaway down into turn 1 and really on the brake hard. Why? Because that corner is much sharper than the turns 3 and 4 up at the other end.
Look at the rotors, fans. They were glowing red. You wonder how in the heck they could keep their brakes. And another thing about this racetrack, Kenny, you can pass on this racetrack. 2 and 3 wide racing, you'll see all day long here.
We're watching.
This really turns out to be, with 312 laps here, 500 kilometers, one of the quicker races on the series. So you probably don't have that many shots at pit road, but once you do get down there, it can be tricky.
Well, and the thing, I'll tell you something. This pit road, fans, to me, I'm not liking some of the positions that these guys picked, and the reason why, you'll see 2 and 4 tire stops today. You'll see them pulling out of the pits, and what you'll see is a lot of congestion as we enter that. That's not the opening, fans. They still have to come here to the exit. And this is what I like about this pit road, the exit. Look how wide it is, 2, 3, 4 wide there. That is going to be critical, Kenny. That is why I think Jeff Gordon took the best spot that was available to him.
Yes, as you see the exit there, the reason it's so wide, they have a road course on the inside of that racetrack, so that's part of the road course, just a real wide exit.
Let's take a look now at our Advanced Auto Parts virtual cutaway car. You can go to speedtv.com, check it out. We guarantee you will learn something new by logging on to speedtv.com and checking out the Advanced Auto Parts virtual cutaway car. And now it is time for our Advanced Auto Parts Texplanation. And for that, we send it inside to our good friend and the pride of Emporia, Virginia, Hermie Sadler.
Well, thank you, JR. We heard Wendy Venturini talking to Jeff Burton a little while ago about the wreck he had at Texas last week. The headrest may have caused some issues. Headrests have come a long way. Before I show you the headrest inside of Jeff Burton's number 31 car, look back at some of these shots back in the day. They didn't even have headrest. Look when that's in a crash situation, how much the head moves around the car. Then they really come along a little bit later on. They've got just a right side headrest. Through the years, as drivers and safety have improved, they've improved these headrests, but now they have taken these headrests to a whole nother level. Look right inside the 31 car of Jeff Burton. Now, look at the size of this headrest. Right here is the right side. This is the contact he made on the right side when he hit the wall at Texas that caused him to have some headaches and set up the Nationwide Series race. But it's not just the right side. Look around to the left side. This unit comes all the way around the left side, and basically the head is confined to this area. Why do you need one on the left side? Is because in years past, we've actually had situations where driver's head and an impact on driver's side has actually come outside the race car and made contact outside the car with the retaining wall. So they're a necessary evil. It does prevent 100% vision inside the car, but safety has to be the most important thing, and the headrests have come a long way, but still working on the phone to try to keep a situation like happened from Jeff Burton last week. But the race cars are not the only safety innovation that have come a long way, JR.
Hermie, thanks a lot. And those seats certainly, well, they aren't cheap. They're made out of carbon fiber. And is it hard, guys? There was always the debate years ago was what is safer, to block a driver's vision or to keep his head from moving around? But you really can't see much in there.
They did block your vision when they first started with these things, but now they have improved these so much. They got them down where when the driver turns his head, he can look out over. He's got the mirror. No, they have came a long, long way with this. And the big thing is when you hit the wall with the left-hand side of these cars, what Hermie said, and unfortunately for me, I think that hurt my career more than anything. Yes, you hit your wall, your head hard, and a lot of times serious concussion. I think NASCAR and all the drivers and crew members have worked very diligently keeping these drivers safe, Kenny.
I hate to admit it, but my therapist, I don't have a therapist. In 1991, I lost the nationwide championship at Loudon, New Hampshire, going into turn 3 because my head came outside the race car and hit what they call the B pillar. Me and Bobby Labonte going at the championship chase, and Bobby goes on to win the championship because my head comes outside the race car.
You couldn't race the next week.
I couldn't race the next week. My head came outside the race car and hit the B pillar, and I had what they call a positional vertigo. If I would have had that safety device in place right now, I might have went on and won the championship. So they have come a long way, baby, and it's really good.
Love to see that safety innovation in the car, and it looks a little almost ominous in there, that big old seat, but it certainly keeps the drivers very
Hey, I like that race car.
How about a little bit of teamwork,
2010,
man?
look out.
Yeah, man, the
racing
team
that.
was awful fast last week in Texas. We'll take a look at that when we come back.
That's cool.
You could say two pretty big things came out of Texas last weekend. First of all, it was the win for Kurt Busch and the Blue Deuce. But the other thing was the damage to the number 48 car and to their lead in the points as they left Texas. Let's take a look back at the final race of the season from the Great American Speedway.
All right, I'll see you. Have a good one.
Texas Motor Speedway today, the site of the Dickies 500. Never any shortage of drama here.
5 on 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Jimmy Johnson in firm control of the Sprint Cup Championship chase in 2009.
Just be cautious here at the start. There's some people up front that typically aren't up there. Stay up front, keep it in contention, be around for that last run. See what we can do it. Hang in there all day and we'll go wear them out at the end, man. Have fun out there, Kurt.
Green flag waves, and we're underway in the Dickies 500 at Texas Motor Speedway.
Give me no
quarter, I'll ask for none. Side by side.
Great job, bud. That's 5 points. Get those fans on when you get a second. That's hard to pass, boys. This is going to kill us here. Inside, straight drive, baby. You get it inside, inside. Cautious out. Get down, get down, get down and dig, 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 dig. Good job. Come on.
We've got Jimmy Johnson sliding off turn 2. He collects Sam Hornish Jr. and pounds the inside wall.
He's tore out, Mark. He's definitely going to the garage. He's tore out pretty good. All right, guys, we're going to need to get right front suspension, right rear suspension. Straight to the garage, Jimmy. Straight to the garage.
The one thing that Jimmy Johnson did not want to happen, happened.
We got to get something to hold all this together. Not going to lie, this right here is a disaster. Maybe that teach all the media a little lesson. Go back and read their articles they wrote this morning and after redo them. Ready? Ready? Green, green.
The Busch brother brawl for the #1 spot. Kyle continues to hold on, but the gap just 2 car lengths.
You know how much this reminds me of a legend car race? What's that? Because I got my brother in my mirror just stalking me.
Jimmy Johnson will return to the racetrack and return to the battle, but in 43rd position.
99 still out there. He's the only one in the upper lane right now.
Spinning and hitting the outside wall. Together are Carl Edwards and Juan Pablo Montoya. Jeff Gordon spinning as well.
Killed the right side. Just hold it. Did you hit anything, buddy? No, I didn't hit anything. Just do the best you can. We don't want to tear fenders off. We can get a lucky dog. We can get a wave by. Let's just keep the fenders on it. We will finish this race, boys. We will finish this race. Whatever we got to do. Well, 10 short on gas. 10 laps short. I do not think you can save it. We need you to save a little bit of gas. We're about lap short. The 00 is way short. Are we going to be short or can we make it? He's 3.5 short. The 2 cars got to try to push it 1 lap further than us.
Kyle Busch remains our leader with only 6 laps left to go.
I'm out. Coming to you. I'm out. I'm out.
He's wiggling the car. Kyle Busch has run out of gas.
And Kurt Busch is the new leader on the back straightaway.
New leader, boys. That 2 car. All right, now really start saving, Buckers. You got lots of cushion behind you. You got 8 seconds behind you.
Kurt Busch is going to have enough fuel to win the Dickies 500.
Yeah, baby. It's Miller time, baby. Spice the beer. Woo! Way to go, guys. Awesome deal. Hey, remember, guys, drink the cold stuff, spray the warm stuff.
Well, with so much drama at the TMS, it's kind of hard to see what's going to go on for the rest of this season with Jimmy Johnson now 73 up. And when you consider that he lost 111 points, anything can and will happen with just 2 races to go. There's your most recent winner, Kurt Busch, not out of it mathematically yet. The best of the rest, the guys that made the chase this year, but now can look forward to next year. Now, one of the things you saw after Jimmy Johnson wrecked last week was the fact that many other teammates from the 24 and the 5 came over, even the 88, to help out to fix the number 48 car. The question is, why would you help a team that you're running for a championship? So now let's check in with Booty Barker and get the Napa good stuff on teamwork.
All you fans must have noticed last week that the entire Hendrick Motorsports organization was coming over, helping the 48 get back out to achieve maximum points in order to win the championship. So I'm sure a lot of you are wondering, what are they doing? Why didn't the 24 and 5 stay in their own stall and let them boys stay in the garage as much as possible to lose points? Well, it doesn't work that way anymore, and I'll give you a little history of how it's evolved to where it is. In the beginning, Junior Johnson and Rick Hendrick and others started multi-car teams. And believe it or not, they worked against each other harder than they worked against the competition. But it sort of worked because it kept everybody motivated. And you weren't going to let the other team beat you, so it rose everything up. But fundamentally, that isn't the way you want to go about it. And people figured it out and have evolved. What happens now is everybody pulls in. You take all your information and you share it with your teammates. You take your trainers and you train them all together in order to get better. Engineering-wise, all of them work hand-to-hand, work on the same software, same computers, and share that information continually. In order that, when you get to the racetrack, it basically comes down to the crew chief making the right call, the pit crew executing the fastest stop, and then really what it comes down to is the best driver winning. That's the real Napa good stuff.
Hermie, thanks a lot. We heard it from those other guys throughout the week. They did that because if they're going to beat Jimmy Johnson, they want to do it on the racetrack. They'll have their chance to do that as we see chase race number 9 from the Phoenix International Raceway today, 2:30 Eastern time, only on ABC. And right now, we're going to send you into the garage area and get our Shell Garage Report. Going to start out with Hermie Sadler.
Well, thank you, JR. And before we got to Texas, everybody was saying, engrave the trophy for Jimmy Johnson. It's all his. Well, as we saw by that footage, Jimmy Johnson did not have the kind of race he wanted to have at Texas. Therefore, all 3 Hendrick teammates are in contention for this championship. And early today, we talked to Jimmy Johnson about his thoughts heading into Phoenix.
We're all feeling the pressure. There's no doubt about that. So with the door being, more open now, everybody's feeling it. Everybody has that pressure on them, and I've got to expect that the 5's going to be out there racing for the win in the 24 today, and I've got to bring my best effort today, and the team does as well, and try to get maximum points because I know that the 5 and the 24 are going to be right there in the thick of things.
But despite all that, Jimmy Johnson is still the points leader, and he's being chased by the 5 and the 24. For more on them, let's go to Wendy.
Look at the 5 and the 24, Mark Martin and Jeff Gordon. Mark Martin, 73 points back. He's always said he's all about winning races. It's not about the championship. The winning will equal a championship. And for Mark Martin, he comes into Phoenix, 25 starts here, 2 wins. The last one coming in the spring race. He has a lot of confidence. Let's talk about Jeff Gordon, 112 points back, 1 win of 2009. One of those wins has come here at Phoenix in the past year, so he wants to get back to victory lane desperately again for Jeff Gordon because he knows to get a second win in 2009 that would give him more points to get closer and closer to Jimmy Johnson these final 2 races. Here's what both Mark Martin and Jeff Gordon had to say this week throughout about the championship.
My focus is on the race at Phoenix. It's not on the point accumulation. The point accumulation will take care of itself if I focus on the race.
The difference is when I say aggressive, it's maybe in the pit strategy. It might be taking a little more risk on fuel mileage. It might be thinking a little bit more outside the box on our setups if what we had the last time we were there didn't work so well. Those types of things.
Now let's talk about the 2 guys are winless in 2009 that are in the chase. You look at Juan Pablo Montoya, you look at Greg Biffle. They have 2 races left to get a victory in their column. When it comes to Juan Pablo Montoya, he's been here to Phoenix 5 times. His best finish is 18th here at Phoenix. And when you look at what he wants to accomplish, he's only 58 points back from Tony Stewart, who sits 5th in points. So he wants to get up there in points and get a good top 5, I'm sure. Now you look at Greg Biffle, he's won here at Phoenix before, has 2 second place finishes here at Phoenix before, wants to get to victory lane. And as we head into Homestead next week, Greg Biffle, as he goes through the tech inspection line, is one of the favorites here the final 2 races too, to become one of those winless guys into the win column. Nonetheless, these 2 guys in the chase want to get a victory, and there's a lot of stories that we're following in the next 7 days. Hermie, it's hard to believe in 7 days it's going to be over.
It's winding down, Wendy, it really is. Let's talk about 2 guys before we go that have won races this year and are still mathematically in this championship. Let's talk about Kurt Busch. He won last week, upset little brother Kyle from getting that sweep of the Texas Motor Speedway. He qualified up front. He's won here in 2005, only 171 back. Look for Kurt Busch. He was good in practice. He'll be a factor today. Let's talk about Tony Stewart. 4 wins this year. He qualified 8th. He won here in 1999, and he finished 6th last week at Texas. So that's 2 guys that have won races so far this year that are still in contention for this championship, and both of those guys have good records at this racetrack, JR.
Hermie, thanks a lot. Before you say anything is over, every one of these drivers is fighting for positions and points out on the racetrack because you know what? There's a big difference in pride and also money when it comes to finishing 6th, 5th, 4th, or anywhere else, guys, on the grid at the end of the season.
There's no question. We were on the show with Michael Waltrip and Chad Knaus 2 weeks ago on Twins. And Michael and I were sort of saying that this championship's over. And Chad kept saying, no, 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 no. And you could see it on his face.
Wait, you and Michael agreed on something?
Yes, we did.
Oh, wow.
And Chad told us we were wrong because he knew what could happen. Unfortunately for him, Kenny, last week it happened. The worst thing could have happened to the 48 team did. But you know what? I think that he can regain it back today and going into Miami.
I've been with all of you. I've been watching the show, as we go along here. And something that has stuck out is Jimmy Johnson has been leading the points. He doesn't win all the races, and I think sometimes people, get that confused. Jimmy Johnson's a great race car driver, has a good team, but last year, if you remember, it was Kyle Busch, Carl Edwards. They won all the races. Now, Jimmy's been winning some races, but he hasn't won them all. It's his consistency. And what I've noticed is some of the drivers, you know, I think it was Greg Biffle at California held him off with 2 tires and said, oh, I'm holding off the great Jimmy Johnson. And then you heard in some of our pieces here today that Carl Edwards says, well, that'll teach the media to not hand the championship over to Jimmy Johnson. My point is that these drivers, they're getting tired of Jimmy Johnson. They're getting tired of us talking about him. They want to beat him.
And that's the way you do it. If you're tired of him, go out and beat him. It's out there on the racetrack, and Jimmy Johnson is trying now to zero in. Could be 7 days away from an unprecedented 4th championship in a row. When we come back, we'll get you some championship-level insight into what the pit strategy might be today at Phoenix.
Next week, on the doorstep of history, Jimmy leads the gang into Miami. Is a four-peat a foregone conclusion? Or will the last race of the season become Jimmy's last stand? Live from Homestead, NASCAR Race Day, built by the Home Depot.
Welcome back, everyone, to the sun-drenched Phoenix International Raceway. We are about 1 hour away from green flag time. There is your championship points leading race car, the number 48, driven by Jimmy Johnson, and of course, crew chief by Chad Knaus. The 11 of Denny Hamlin and other drivers are looking to better that team today. And for more from the garage area, let's now go down to Hermie Sadler.
Well, thank you, Jared. Catching up with Max Pappas. Now, Max, you're a nice guy, but you look taller on TV. What's up with that?
I don't know. Looks like you have some platform underneath you, isn't it?
My old cameraman busted me on that one, but good to have you on the show. And you were really excited getting this car qualified. A good starting spot for you. How's your car in race trim?
First of all, it was easy. You know, I have a Virginian helping me. Buddy Barker gave me a great car. Geico Toyota was fast. And, you know, I really had to dig very, very deep for the second lap in qualifying because grip level went up a lot. And I knew that when you are one of those guys that go home, you need to really give it all. And when he came on the radio, he told me like 26.98. I said, whoa! I couldn't believe it. The excitement is huge because you go from not knowing if you can make the show to be top 20, 25, whatever it is, and the excitement is huge for me. You know, I was thinking that I've done only 14 starts so far, and it's just great. You know, I feel that I'm comfortable, I'm getting better, we're making good progress. You know, Booty and all the Geico guys, they're helping me to get to understand better what I need about these NASCAR cars. This track, very difficult. I'm sure it's going to be slippery. It's going to be, hopefully, not too much beating and banging, but I'm expecting quite a bit.
And you know why you're so good with Booty Barker? Is because y'all don't understand each other just like we don't. One more thing before we go. Our friend Kenny Wallace always likes to say, I'm a race car driver. Can you say that in Italian for us before we go? I'm a race car driver.
Sono un pilota italiano di NASCAR.
There it is. Wendy?
Yeah!
Oh, we are laughing here. Casey Mears and I, we love Max Pappas. You got to love the Italian accent as well. You know, we were talking in our production meeting, what drivers do we want to talk to today? I said, I haven't heard from Casey Mears in a while. I want to talk to you on race day and check in with you. Final 2 races. A lot can happen in 2 races on the racetrack with your performance level, and I really, really want to see you go out on a good note. How is your car going to be for today?
The Jack Daniels Chevrolet is pretty good. We, qualifying trim, it was really close to what we needed to be sitting on the pole. We ended up 9th, which is nice, and it's so important these days to have a good starting spot. And track position just means a lot. And I think that in practice, I felt like we had a really good car. There's about 3 or 4 or 5 cars that are really fast, and then there's a group of about 25 of us that are running about the same speed. So, like I said, track position is going to be key, and I think we got a good, got a good car for today.
I really wish you could tell me good news about 2010. Will you know by next week? When we go off the air in Homestead, we're done for the year. What will you know by then? Will you have any update for 2010?
Honestly don't know yet. There's a few things out there, which is great. Obviously gonna be racing next year. Just don't know exactly where or what just yet. The biggest thing we're waiting on right now is I think everybody at RCR really hit it off with everybody there. I think it's a great organization. I really enjoy being there. Richard's been working really hard at trying to secure some sponsorship for the 4th car, and we deserve it. I mean, I think the team's really learned a lot and grown this year. We understand what we got to do now to run 4 cars and do it right, and the performance level's just been getting better all the time. So hopefully we'll have a good one today, have a good one in Homestead, and we'll have some good news shortly after that.
Okay, good luck to Casey Mears. We could see the passion from Richard Childress as well when we sat down with him last week, Johnny, that he really wants to get Casey in that ride, and we just cross our fingers that all these drivers end up in some fantastic rides, possibly stay where they are for 2010.
Man, you got that right. Best of luck to Casey Mears on and off the track. Now, when it comes to pit strategy, no one's had it down like the 48 team over the last 4 races here. Chad Knaus and company have won 3 of the last 4. So now let's go to Chad for our Sunoco pit strategy of the week.
So you want to talk about pit strategy? This is the place to make it happen. 312 laps are on this racetrack, and it's very difficult on the crew chiefs and the teams. You have to realize it's only a mile racetrack, very, very flat corners. So what that means is you typically don't have a big variation on your lap times as your tires fall off and you get into your fuel run. You go about 75 laps on a Sunoco fuel run, but the thing that's going to be really important is track position. Another thing you always have to remember here is they impound the top 10 qualifiers' tires. Well, at the beginning of the race, those guys that qualify in the top 10, being on their scuffed qualifying tires, are a little bit of a disadvantage to the guys that are at the back of the field that didn't qualify in the top 10 because they're all on fresh stickers. So this track really plays a little bit of havoc on you with your pit strategy, because when first caution comes out, those leaders are going to want to pit to get some fresh tires on, but the guys back in the pack probably are going to want to stay out, and that's going to jumble up the field a little bit. It's going to be tight and it's going to be exciting. I hope you enjoy the race.
Chad, we definitely agree with that. It's going to be exciting out on the racetrack as 43 of the world's best drivers do battle with this Phoenix International Raceway. We'll be back with more race day in a moment.
NASCAR Race Day is built by the Home Depot. Visit HomeDepot.com. More saving, more doing. That's the power of the Home Depot. Brought to you in part by Copart.com, an online auto auction where you control the price you want to pay. Go to Copart.com today. And by Wrangler, proud sponsor of Dale Earnhardt Jr. Wrangler, real, comfortable jeans.
Phoenix, Arizona, the PIR, Checker, O'Reilly, Auto Parts, 500 races through the desert sun. Just when you thought this chase was done, Jimmy Johnson had a Texas crash. Mark Martin sees his lead cut in half. All you chasers, it's time to get going. That sprint cut door is swung wide open. Hey, hey, it's race day. Stars and stripes and high octane. Hallelujah, bow your heads and pray.
Let us now take a look at our fantasy standings here at the Phoenix International Raceway. 2 to go. And Kenna Wallace now finds himself with a 123-point lead. And Kenna Wallace, just like Jeff Gordon did to Jimmy Johnson here in Phoenix a couple years ago, I'm waving the flag.
No, don't wave the flag, but I will say my future is so bright, I've got to wear shades, race fans. Woo, it's sunny out here. Here's who I am picking to give me a good run today. Number 2, the Miller Lite car of Kurt Busch. Kurt Busch is going to win the race today. Now, John at TV, you are next.
Now, I may be giving up, but here's a guy who has not given up anything yet. He's going to win this race today, and he has the opportunity to go into Homestead with the points lead. Kenna Wallace likes to call him Mark, the Kid Martin from Batesville, Arkansas. This guy won last time we were here. He's got the same car back, and I say he's going to get this thing done today. Hermie Sadler.
Yeah, JR, you got a good pick for maybe a top 5 finish, but I'm going to end this show right where I started it, in the 48 pit box. Jimmy Johnson will win this race today and lock it up at Homestead. Wendy?
Well, the crown, I'm slightly taking it off and passing the crown along to Kenny Wallace, because he will be wearing it, I think, when we get to Homestead. Now, who am I going with today? I'm going with the 88 car of Dale Earnhardt Jr. race fans. Hey, I may not win fantasy picks, but I'm still going with the fan favorite. All right, I do have to update on the 88 real quick. They were in a car accident this morning. The crew members that go over the wall for Dale Earnhardt Jr. did get in a little fender bender. They were all treated and released at the infield care center, and they should be good to go for the race today. We're gonna, obviously, we're going off air, but hopefully they'll all be okay for their pit stops today. And man, you never like to get in a fender bender on race day, outside the racetrack. Jimmy?
Well, thanks, Wendy, and I hope all those guys are good and have a good day today. But you know what? I'm taking this guy, 9,891 laps completed at 99.13, 99.7%. What a great year for the first-time team. This is Tony Stewart, my friends, number 14. 23 top 10 finishes, 4 wins this year. And I'm going to tell you something, fans. I'm awful excited about what's the future holds here for this team next year. And good luck today, Smoke.
A very bright future for Stewart-Haas Racing, but they still got 2 more races left to potentially get into victory lane. We want to say a special thank you to the fine folks here at the Phoenix International Raceway for being so hospitable to us all through this triple-header NASCAR weekend. We will have the most from victory lane as soon as it is over at 8 o'clock Eastern time tonight. Thanks for coming along for the ride. Keep it right here on Speed.